welcome to another match reaction show on Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzie, and I'm your host for this evening. What a draining match that was. Unfortunately, Liverpool crash out of the Champions League as they lost 4-1 on penalties to PSG. So what we'll do during the show, we will discuss the key moments of the game. We'll do the player ratings, and it's also a calling show. So if you'd like to come on and have your say, link has been pinned in the live chat. So feel free to hit the link, and I'll get you on in due course. So let's discuss the game. Um, Liverpool actually started the game very, very positively on the front foot. It took a few minutes for our first chance to be created. It was McAllister who produced a fantastic first touch with his left foot. Goes through on goal. For me personally, I think he should have shot um, rather than cut back a pass towards the danger zone. He tried to aim it towards Jota. Fortunately, the ball went behind him, but it arrived at Salah's feet. He has a shot, but it was blocked by Nuno Mendes. And some people say that should have been a shot that he should have scored. I think it was just a good block. There wasn't a lot of room to aim at in terms of finding that perfect finish. So I think you have to give credit to the defender. And then moments later, Salah nutmegs Nuno Mendes, drives with the ball, finds himself in the box, hits a shot, but unfortunately couldn't get any bend, and the shot ended up going wide. Then we also had a chance from a corner kick as Van Dijk had a header. Um, there was like a sea of PSG players on the goal line. One of them made the block. So good few chances there. But then unfortunately, we got a killer blow, and it was a goal that pretty much came from our own mistake, if I'm being honest. It came from the right hand side where Barcola was given plenty of space to execute the through ball. Osman Dembele goes through on goal, tries to dink over the keeper. Konate makes a block, but unfortunately, that block just wasn't enough as the block was not away from goal, it was actually going towards goal. And then because we had Konate and Szoboszlai trying to make that last ditch clearance, Dembele was intelligent enough to get ahead of those two players and just slot it in into the empty net. So I wouldn't quite. I think it's harsh. I know a lot of fans are, you know, saying Konate producing another bozo moment, saying these sort of comments. I just feel like he was a bit unlucky there. He made the clearance, he made the block, which is what you wanted, but unfortunately the clearance wasn't far away from goal. If it was, gone for a corner kick, then it's a different story. So yeah, just a bit unlucky in that moment for me. And Konate tries to respond and make up for his error. He drives at the ball, has a shot from distance. Donnarumma makes the save to parry the ball away for a corner kick. But then moments later, Barcola was one-on-one with Alisson, and Alisson makes a crucial block. Um, Jota, who didn't have the best of games, he had a chance from a corner kick, pretty much a free header. No one was man marking him, but he executed his shot over the bar. For me, he should have done a lot better with that moment there. And we got life after that as well. Dembele was through on goal, favourite to score and hit the back of the net, but his final touch let him down, and Alisson was able to retrieve the ball. Jota then had another shot with his left foot, which went over the bar, and Kvara just before halftime has a shot, slightly deflected by Graham Burke, but still managed to get over the bar for going in. The way he executed that ball, I feel like it was going to hit the top bins, but thankfully for us at the time, it didn't. And then second half, we continued our good form, and it was pretty much all Liverpool. We pretty much controlled that game. PSG very rarely had any attacks whatsoever. Liverpool did actually hit the back of the net with Szoboszlai, but unfortunately in the build-up, Diaz was in an offside position, so the goal was ruled out. Diaz had a moment where he was tracking down the left side, hit a very unorthodox type of cross, but it was, it was great to watch in the end where he had a low hard cross into the box, um, and then Szoboszlai had a first time shot blocked by Pacho, and that was a crucial block there as well. Led to a corner kick. Diaz had a header. which Donnarumma parried away, and then Liverpool were on the counter attack later on. Salah to Diaz. Diaz has a chance to shoot, and I feel like this is the moment where I found quite frustrating, especially in the second half. Players just looking for Salah to score the final goal. Diaz was in a moment where he should have had a left-footed shot on goal. Instead, he controlled it, tried to play it to Salah, and then the chance was pretty much gone from there onwards. Salah also had a low shot from a corner kick. That was blocked by Kvara, so he had to do a bit of defending. Fortunately, Trent probably had one of his sort of positive games in this fixture. Um, Picked up an injury. Not sure what the update is, but hopefully it's nothing long term. He had to be replaced by Kwanzaa, and Kwanzaa for me had a fantastic cameo performance in this game. His first involvement was actually a header towards goal, just missed the target, and then he had another header where I thought, he hit the back of the net. It was from a Robertson free kick. The header hits the inside of the post and comes back out. So, so unlucky. And when you see those kind of moments and you reflect in terms of what happened today, it just felt like it wasn't our day, unfortunately. And then Kvara also had a very late shot towards the end of the game. Just missed the post, very, very close there. So that game ended up going into extra time. And as you know, extra time could be one of those games where something happens out of nothing, or it's just routine, and then people are just trying to get through that half an hour mark. Kind of felt like that at times. Uh, Ronaldo, the centre back that came on, he had a header. That was probably his first touch of the game. He missed the post, and Desiree Doué produced a left-footed effort on goal, and he just missed the post as well. At that time, I thought it went in. So PSG were definitely knocking on the door. And the second half of extra time, Desiree Doué has another shot. And this time, he was even more close. Just missed the post. For me, another scare at the time. And Lee, who came on as a sub, has a couple of shots on goal, but not really troubling Allison as they were all straight at him. So that's extra time. Not much from a Liverpool point of view. Didn't really produce that many attacks. Um, and that's probably because a lot of our sort of top players were substituted due to fatigue, tiredness, or injury. So that led to a penalty shootout. The toss was that was a bit dodgy. PSG won both tosses. Um, Must have been a double-sided coin or something. Well, I don't know. Referee was a bit of a dodgy guy, but hey, not making excuses, but he was definitely very rash with his decision making, and I just thought he had a poor game altogether. In terms of the penalty shootout, I said it during my watch along. I didn't feel very confident, if I'm being honest with you. A lot of our sort of best penalty takers were not on the pitch, and yeah, PSG still had a strong lineup up top, so you're thinking it might be on their side. But obviously, you got to keep hope alive, and that's what I did at the time. The first penalty Vitinha took, he had a very interesting walk up, took 2 minutes to go up to the ball, and then in the end, uh, hit a low shot that I feel like Allison probably should have saved, if I'm being honest with you. That never occurred. And then the other penalty kicks that were taken from PSG, I don't think they were savable. The one from Gonçalo Ramos, that shot straight in the top bins, and then the Desiree Doué as well. That was a good effort there as well. So a lot of fans are saying maybe Alisson should have done better today. I think the only one that was probably debatable is the first one, but in terms of Liverpool, our sort of penalty kicks. And I'm not just saying it because not his biggest fan, but with Darwin Núñez when he stepped up, I had zero confidence. He looked nervous. His body language wasn't quite there. Even the position of how he took the penalty, I knew he was going to go on that side, and it was a bit of a tame effort. And Jones, he didn't really hit the ball with any conviction. So surprised that Cody Gakpo didn't take a penalty because I think that was one of the reasons why he was brought on. Because let's be honest, he has zero impact on the game. Didn't look fully fit, and other players that didn't make the pitch, and i.e. Chiesa, which we'll touch on very shortly when we do the player ratings. So for me, yeah, a very frustrating end to the game. But look, I'm not going to make excuses or anything to that nature. I want to give credit to the opposition. I think PSG deserved to go through. I think they were the better team in both legs. Of course, we got the lucky win in the first leg, but this time around we were the better team and ended up being where PSG went through. So for me, I think they deserve to go through. They played fantastically well in both legs. Liverpool, for me, in the first leg, just didn't do enough. That could have been, crucial going into this fixture. And today we just weren't clinical at all. We were poor in front of goal. We were making poor decisions in the final third. And yeah, it was just one of those games where the substitutions you probably have to question in terms of the timing of some of the players that came on, the personnel that came onto the pitch as well. And for me, a big talking point, and then probably slightly, you know, not relevant to some, but for me, it is a bit of a big deal. Why did you go so strong against Southampton over the weekend? That was the game to really rotate the squad. Bottom of the table, they weren't really going to have an impact into how they faced us in that game. Their destination is pretty much set and done. They're going to go in the championship, so they're not really going to be fighting for anything. The PSG players, the ones that started today, they all pretty much rested over the weekend in their league on fixture. So for me, Slot missed the boat there. He went into the press conference saying that every game is a cup final. It wasn't a cup final against Southampton. It was a routine fixture that you could have played. Your squad players, you could have played the likes of Elliott and Jones and players that had a good impact. Let them start that fixture. So then everyone's in a good mood into this fixture. I feel like you've overused certain players, and that unfortunately was evident today. We looked really tired as the game went on. In the extra time period, we didn't do anything. We didn't do much to trouble um, the opposition. So yeah, frustrating. Don't get me wrong. Rival fans will definitely be enjoying their evening and tomorrow as well. They've not had much to share about, especially United fans, so they're going to ridicule us as much as they can. But look, it is what it is. We move on. Focus on our cup final, which takes place this Sunday. So what we'll do now is we'll quickly do the player ratings. And if there's any callers, we'll get some callers on as well. So let's start with Allison. I actually thought Allison had a very good game in this fixture. The only one that I probably criticized was the first penalty from Vitinha. I feel like he should have done better there. Wasn't hit very well. Too much was like a pass towards the goal. So I feel like he should have done better in that moment. But general play, I thought he was good, made some good saves. Barcola, I remember him making his block. Osman Dembele as well. So it wasn't a masterclass like last week, but it's still a good performance nonetheless. So for me, I'll give Allison a 9 out of 10. Grant for me was very, very good in this game, and especially in the second half. I thought like he improved as the game went on. Such a shame in terms of what happened to him in regards to his injury. He went in to tackle, I think it was Vitinha, and because he was sliding in and approaching the byline, when you go to these stadiums, that part of the pitch is not the same grass as what you play on, so it would have been a bit more of a rougher surface, and maybe due to that, as he slid in, he ended up sliding on sort of like drier sort of grass or astroturf or whatever the fabric was, and that pretty much led to his ankle getting jarred into the ground, and then that could um, have messed up his knee ligaments. I feel like it's a knee injury. I'm not a doctor, but just based on what I saw, I feel like he might have twisted his knee, or it could have been a knee ligament damage to that extent. So hopefully it's nothing to that nature, and it's just a slight knock, and he'll be fit and ready in upcoming games. But yeah, it was definitely a disappointing end to his game because I feel like he was finding a bit of momentum. He was getting involved a lot more. He was making some great runs. He was having the freedom to express himself on the ball. Um, and this is no shade on Quansah because I feel like when Quansah came on, he was fantastic. But when Trent left, we lost that creativity, and I just didn't know where the goals were going to come from because with Robertson, he's not quite the same attacking outlet that he used to be. So with no Trent, we're not really getting that creativity from our fullback positions. And in the middle of the park, we looked a bit tired. We didn't really have that creative spark to thread the ball to our attackers. So it was always going to be a difficult task. But in terms of Trent's performance, I'll have to give him a 9 out of 10. I think he was really, really good in this fixture. Just a shame he's picked up an injury. Hopefully, we get some further update because we've got a big, big game, as I mentioned earlier on, this Sunday. So hopefully he's fit and ready to play for that one. Kanate, now I'm not here to bash players. Obviously, I'll give you my opinion in terms of what I thought. Uh, Obviously, the block that he made, I just would have wanted him to do a bit better there. But you know, when you're defending a goal and you know you stop the player from the initial shot, you feel like you've done enough to stop from that attack from happening. Um, it was just one of those moments. Maybe because Szoboszlai was there, it added a bit of confusion on who's going to make that clearance, and that led to Ousmane Dembele being the smarter out of the three and getting ahead of Szoboszlai and Konate and sliding to the back of the net. So it's an error, of course it is, but I'm not here to say, oh, he's terrible, he's a bozo, because that's the kind of stuff I'm seeing online right now. I don't agree with that. Because after that, I thought he was very, very solid and didn't really put a foot wrong. It's just one of those moments. It happens. It's natural. He's a human being. It is part of the game. So in terms of his rating, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Van Dijk for me was I'd probably say was slightly better than Konate. More dominant in the air. Tried to make sure the defense was attacking as a unit, try and push them up as much as possible because they had some, you know, very attack-minded players in the final third. They were trying to push us down as much as possible. But, you know, Virgil van Dijk being a leader and an organizer of the defense, you know, made sure that we were pushing up and playing. We were slightly higher line than normal. Um, a couple of moments where he looked a bit shaky, but then at the same time showed his dominance and didn't really let anyone go past him. So for me, another good performance from Van Dijk. Just a shame that we weren't able to get the win. Of course, he had a chance as well in the first half. Not saying that was his fault, but of course, had an opportunity to get onto the score sheet as well. So for his rating, I'll give him an 8.5 out of 10. Robertson, I actually thought he had a decent game. He wasn't awful. Of course, the goal, um, I'd have to point the finger at him a little bit, only because he gave Barcola acres of space to attack. Um, and that's been my issue with Robertson. His general play has been fine, but in those one-on-one duels, those defensive uh, positions there, he's either giving them too much space or he's not reading the play and they've outsmarted him. And he needs to go back to basics to be tight on his man and make sure they're not giving any space whatsoever to exploit around him. And in this game, I don't feel like in that moment he didn't do that. He was showing him far too much respect, which I don't think was the case. But positionally, he wasn't doing his job. I can't say that he's at fault for that goal. But apart from that, I thought defensively he was really good. Not a lot was coming through that right hand side. A lot of the attacks were coming through the left, and I think even from an attacking point of view, he produced some good balls here and there. Made some good runs that Diaz didn't really clock, so it led to you know, the play breaking down on a couple of occasions. So I thought he had a good game. Nothing that for me, you know, deserves a higher rating than the others on the defense. So for me, he gets a solid 7 out of 10. Gravenberch, he tried, man. He tried. He honestly tried. He looked tired, but he was battling. He was trying to make tackles, trying to intercept, trying to have an influence on the team. He did that part, but I think, you know, when you're a midfielder, you're expected to be a bit more sort of influential on the game, i.e., you get the ball, make some passes, or carry the ball. He didn't do enough for me. Um, but I'm not blaming anyone, but I do feel like he looks jaded at this stage. And I've said it for quite a few months. I think Arsenal needs to rotate him a bit more, especially, you know, he's got a bit more faith in Endo. So why not rotate these two players a bit more? And that's why I suggested Endo should start against Southampton instead of Gravenberch because it didn't make sense for Gravenberch to play in that game. Um, but had a decent game. I don't think it was one of his prime performances. So for Gravenberch, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. McAllister, I thought was slightly better, showed a bit more bite, a bit more aggression um, in his play, a bit more forward thinking with his passing. Uh, Made that foul and getting a yellow card, but I think at that time it was needed because I think it was Dembele that was going to go through on goal, and it was a professional foul was needed in that moment. So for me, in terms of McAllister's rating, I'll give him a 6.5. I think he was just slightly better than Gravenberch in this fixture. Szoboszlai, I think in terms of his general play, he was decent today, and I'd probably say more defensively he was better, which of course you don't want to associate with your advanced midfielder or your number 10. But I feel like he definitely put in a shift from pressing up top to tracking back and making interceptions, all that sort of stuff. In the attacking half, I just feel like his decision making was a bit erratic today. Gave the ball to Salah when he maybe should have found another better option, i.e. a Diaz on the other wing, or uh, try and fed Jota through. That happened a couple of times. There were moments where he had a good touch and probably should have had a shot on goal, but ended up reverting and passing to Salah. I found that quite frustrating in this game. It's like the other players didn't have the confidence to take the ball on and shoot on goal. They'd rather just pass it to Salah and hopefully he scores. That's not how Liverpool should play. That's not the way we should play because we have a lot of good attackers in this team and we need to give them the confidence to go on and express themselves. So when you're in a goal scoring opportunity, take a shot on goal, especially if you're an attacker. Sometimes you need to have that selfish streak in you to take the ball forward and try and hit the back of the net on your own. But of course, I don't feel like that was the case today. But in terms of Bozlai, I think he was slightly better than the two midfielders behind him. Um, I was a little bit disappointed that he came off at extra time, but I think he might have just been exhausted. He looked really devastated and annoyed about that. Um, and obviously, in hindsight, Elliot that came on has zero impact on the game as well. So maybe he wanted more from Szoboszlai. Maybe he should have been left on, and he would have been one of the penalty takers because he's a good set piece taker in front of goal. So for Szoboszlai, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. I thought he had a decent game, but not decisive enough in that final third for me. Salah, I thought he probably looked one of our best attackers today. I know a lot of fans might have different opinion in terms of Salah's performance and output. I don't think Salah did anything wrong today. Last week he was absolutely shocking. I gave him, I don't know, 2 out of 10 or 3 out of 10. I can't remember exactly, but he was anonymous last week. This time he stood tall. He was attacking Nuno Mendes on a number of occasions. And don't get me wrong, Nuno Mendes won a few of the battles as well, but Salah definitely got the upper hand on him. He was the one that looked like he was going to create, or he was the one that looked like he was going to score. I can't say the same for the other attackers, unfortunately. So for me, um, he had a better performance in comparison to the other attackers in our team. I don't think it was a spectacular performance or anything to that nature, but I do feel like he was better in comparison to others in the Liverpool team. So for his rating, I'll give him a 7 out of 10 as well. Diaz, I thought Diaz showed good traits in his game today where he was quite persistent. Definitely made Hakimi defend today. So attacked that left channel quite a few times. The only thing for me was that his decision making was a bit poor. A couple of occasions where Robertson made the overlap and run, didn't see him. And there were some times where he overplayed it a little bit and then ended up just twisting himself up at times, to be fair. Had a couple of moments where maybe should have had a shot on goal, but decided to either hold on to it a bit longer or release it to a defender or defensive player in a different position, or try and switch it over to Salah because that seems to be the instruction given to the players. Because even when you're in a good position, you end up passing to Salah. That happened quite a number of times in this game. Um, so for me, I had a decent cameo. but not prime Luis Diaz by no stretch of the imagination. So I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. Jota, yeah, he was poor, and I'm really concerned about Jota because I don't want to sound like an overreaction, but he just doesn't look the same anymore. I feel like all of these injuries that he's been suffering for the last 2 3 years has taken its toll on his body. He doesn't have that dynamic speed anymore. Um, his tactical awareness has reduced. He's not linking up as he used to, um, and he doesn't seem decisive on the ball. When he's controlled the ball, he's not really laying it off to anyone. He's holding on to it far too long. And then his decision making from goal, he's not getting involved in those sort of build up plays, not finding goal scoring opportunities. Not he hasn't got that sort of that fox in a box mentality which he used to have, where he would sniff around and try and find those key areas to attack the team. And yeah, this doesn't seem like the same player that we've gotten used to over the years. So the big question is, what do we do with Jota? Do we keep him? Do we sell him on? It's going to be a huge summer for Liverpool. We've got another attacking Darwin Núñez who I don't feel like has a long-term future at the club. Would the club sell two strikers in the same window? I doubt it. I doubt it. So it's a big debate that we can discuss on another show, I guess. But yeah, Jota was poor today. I don't think there was anything that he did that stood out for me. Um, so I can't give him a very high rating, unfortunately. So for Jota, I'm gonna give him a 3 out of 10. I thought he was really, really poor today. So that is my player ratings. Now in terms of man of the match, I'd give it to Trent, I guess, because I feel like Trent was the one that stood out for me. I know he left the pitch injured, but you know, it's customary for me to pick a man of the match, so I'm gonna go for Trent. So that's my man of the match. Feel free to drop a comment, let me know who your man of the match was in this fixture. Now, let's go through some of the substitutes. Well, I say some, we made 6 substitutions because, of course, you can have a bonus one in extra time. Um, so let's place them in the lineup. So we've got Darwin Núñez replacing Jota. Then we have Kwanzaa replacing an injured Trent Alexander-Arnold. Hopefully, it's nothing too severe and he makes a return this weekend. I'll put Trent back on. Kwanzaa. There we go. And then we have Jones replacing McAllister. Then Gakpo replacing Diaz. Harvey Elliott for Szoboszlai. Too many L's there. There we go. And final player, Endo replacing Kanate. So hopefully Kanate's not picked up an injury. I think it was more prime for fatigue, the way it looked like it. But you just never know. It could be a fine injury, which he's struggled with in the last year or so. Let's see what happens. Let's see. Where's Endo? There he is. Okay, so the players in the correct positions, yeah, I guess they are. Let's start with Darwin Núñez. Darwin Núñez came on, seemed to have a positive impact of his running, and then all of a sudden it just went a bit ghost. I don't feel like he got many touches in that extra time period. The penalty as well. I know he's got a good penalty record, but he just didn't look like he was confident enough to take it so early on. Maybe if it was after the 15th cut, then that's the time to put Darwin Núñez. But yeah, it just didn't have the impact in the game that we would have expected. I probably personally would have started him. I knew Slot would have gone for Jota based on the team that he performed that presented last week. But I feel like when you got a striker that's built a bit of momentum in the last 2 or 3 games, it's probably worth starting them. But Slot had other ideas and didn't play Darwin Núñez. And I'm not saying that if Darwin Núñez started, would have had a different outcome. Who knows? But from what he produced in this game, very, very minimal impact. So with that said, I'm gonna give him a 4 out of 10. Let's go to Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa actually was really, really good. I think once he came on and played on that right side, they couldn't get past him. I, I don't think there was many attacks on that left side that were successful. I think Desiree Doué got past him once, but no end product there in the end. For me, very, very solid. Very unlucky not to score. He had two headers, one that went wide. Maybe should have done better there, but very difficult angle to try and guide it when you're trying to glance the ball towards goal. The second one just unlucky, hits the inside of the post and then comes out. So it's just not your day, unfortunately. So for me, I was very impressed with Konsa. It's good to see him playing with a bit more confidence, uh, and it probably bodes well for his future at the club because I was probably one. I thought maybe a loan move might suit him in the long term, but I think this will need to be reassessed in the summer. Maybe he deserves to remain in the team, but probably just not third choice, maybe fourth choice, or maybe even fifth choice if we're really going to strengthen this summer, which I don't know if we will, but a man can dream sometimes. Um, but I thought he was really good too. Defensively solid. Attacking wise, of course, he's not a Trent Alexander-Arnold type of player, but whenever called upon in a more advanced position, he tried to lay off the right passes, tried a couple of crosses that end up leading to corner kicks. So he did what was asked from him. So I can't really fault him any further. So for Kwanzaa, I'll give him an 8 out of 10. I thought he was really good when he came on. And then we have Jones, who when he came on, looked really positive, was spraying the ball around, uh, retaining the ball and making sure that we were, getting things ticked around the playing field. But then there was a couple of moments where he got tackled, where he held onto the ball too many times, and I felt like after that his confidence went a bit down. He wasn't playing with that confidence that we're used to seeing Jones play with, and I feel like the penalty kick as well didn't really hit a real conviction. So I was a little bit disappointed with his effort there. So for Jones, I'll give him a 4 out of 10 as well. I don't think he was as impactful as he was last week because he was really good last week against PSG. Next player, Cody Gakpo. Oh, let's just keep it short and sweet, I guess. And it's not shade on the player. He just did not look fully fit. Honestly, that was the the evidence there when he came on. He just was hired after 5, 10 minutes of running. He just wasn't fully fit. Barely touched the ball. I remember seeing him in the second half of extra time. I'm thinking, oh, shit, I forgot Cody Gakpo was playing. Didn't realize number 18 was running around. So he was barely involved, barely ran around. And yeah, but that's something you've got to look at the manager. It's not really got nothing to do with Gakpo. He's just given instructions to play and, try and have an impact on the game. Unfortunately, he didn't have the capabilities to do that. My question is, why wasn't Chiesa brought on instead? What is the problem here with Chiesa? I'm not really buying it that he's not fully fit. He's been fit for a while. We've not heard about any injuries or anything that has happened in training. Why has he not been given any game time since that Plymouth fixture? Has the coach completely lost faith in him? For me, it looks like that is the case. So his day is a number at the club. But as a coach, you still have to be less stubborn to utilize those type of players because we would have needed him in this fixture, or we could have played against Southampton and maybe rest Diaz. Those are the games where even if they're not your favorite players or you don't have complete faith in them, you've got to rotate and then look out for the players you do have faith for because now those players for me looked overworked. And that probably led to why we weren't able to keep up our momentum throughout the whole fixture. And I can't even say 90 minutes because then I've been 120 minutes. So for me, wrong call to bring on Cody Gakpo. He just didn't look like he was ready to play. No fault is on. I'm gonna have to give him a low rating, and that is I'm gonna give him a 2 out of 10, and that's for him literally being on the pitch. So nothing more I can add to that. On to the next player, Harvey Elliott. Yeah, he didn't have any involvement whatsoever. I remember him making some, you know, pressing runs, not even runnings on the ball. Um, yeah, he has zero impact. And like he was getting proper, sent us back from the team, like, come on, Harvey, you can do this. And even I was getting gassed as well during my watch along. But yeah, he didn't do much, unfortunately. So for Harvey, I'll give him 3 out of 10. Just slightly better than Gakpo. And the final one was Endo. Endo actually came on and did his thing. Made a couple of headers, um, 1 or 2 blocks, but that was pretty much it. But Endo did what was needed, so I'll give him a 5 out of 10. So that is my player ratings. So be up to him for tuning in. I do see we have a call in the back, so let me bring them on. Um, here we go. And it is back Liverpool. Back Liverpool. I hope you're still there. Apologies, we've had to wait a bit
Hello.
longer. Sir.
Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How you doing, back Liverpool?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, you're
Okay.
good. Let me know what you're
Yes,
thinking.
yes, yeah. A few things I want to say about this match because I think this match have taught everybody a lesson, including our coach and a lot. So I want to
Mm,
start by saying you don't make the same mistake and expect different results. I
mm,
repeat what I'm saying. You don't make the same mistake and expect different results.
mm,
So the one thing that happened in this match is you went to Paris and you played 4-3-3, which is an attacking football,
yeah,
and you were outbullied in every class, if not the wonderful save and performance of the goalkeeper, Alison Becker. We would have gone 2-3-0 down in that game.
true.
Now, coming to Anfield, you are 1-0 ahead. You are one goal ahead. You are leading. So you're not in a hurry. You are not
Mm,
supposed to allow them to come at you. They are the people who are supposed to come at you. So
yeah,
our game plan is supposed to revolve around leave them, they are going to come. Now look
mm,
at how we are going to hunt them. Now, considering that game we play at Paris too, one thing that one of the reasons why PSG killed us in that game was their midfield. Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz, and Jao Neves.
yeah,
Their midfield was the fact that they were the drivers. So what do you
yeah,
have to do as a coach? You come and look at that thing. Number one, you're one goal ahead. Number two, you've noticed the whole that their midfielders were the powerhouse of that team. What we needed was just an extra midfielder. That same formation you played against City, where you played the first nine, allow Curtis Jones, allow Ozwrld, allow McAllister, allow Gravenberg, play Salah and Diaz up wide. Because the reason why I say play Salah and Diaz up wide, the game you played Salah wide, the other guy, what's the name of this PSG guy, bullied Salah. And that thing kept on happening. So allow Salah to be very closer to the goal. Allow Diaz to be very closer to the goal because all this thing they are doing was dribble, 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 caught
yeah,
nobody. You decided to make the same mistake and go with the same 4-3-3 as if you are the person chasing this game. And I knew that as soon as PSG gets one goal in this game, it's
mm,
going to be a long day for us. And number two, you played 4-3-3. This was the same, what do you call it, brainchild of Jurgen Klopp. 4-3-3, gang ho football, move, press. Now, the same thing has happened during Jurgen Klopp is happening here. Because the issue we have now is that these players are injured. Even if it's a cramp, even if they are feeling tired, it's
yeah,
fatigue. Injury is injury. You stress Konate out. Trend was going bumping up, coming down, bumping up, coming down. And this is
yeah,
not the kind of game we are supposed to play against these people. Your one responsibility was that if four midfielders in, Salah and Diaz go up, play as wide forward, sit them in. Even if the PSG three midfielders press three, you still have one person who can come and collect the ball. But that thing was not done. And that is the beginning of our failure.
Mm.
And he was doing that. I'm not like kudos to Slot that he took us here. He's a very good coach. But sometimes you don't make a mistake and keep on repeating that mistake and expect to have another result.
Mm.
Now, he was doing the same thing at a point. McAllister had yellow card. So McAllister had yellow card because he had to sprint up. He's coming back to defend, sprinting up because you did not have extra legs in the midfield. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, on a counter attack, he had yellow card. Now, what you did, Luis Enrique watched the game. There were some of his players who were tired. At some point in the game, he decided to take it to extra time.
Yeah.
At some point in the game, Luis Enrique decided, okay, you people should stay compact. Let's take it to extra time. As soon as it was extra time, he was also thinking about penalty. And you see his substitutions, bringing in people who are going to play the penalty. What did we do? We were removing people who are penalty takers.
Yes.
Soposlai is a penalty taker in his country. Even when he was in Leipzig, he was their penalty taker. You remove him. McAllister on a yellow card, who was the penalty taker of Brighton, you removed him. Okay, let's say stressing trend, injury has come because
Yeah.
these are where people who would have taken the penalty. Trent, Soposlai, McAllister, Salah, and Van Dijk. That's it. These are things that Jurgen Klopp do, even closing his eyes to do. How many finals have we gone on a penalty? Klopp will make the right selection because he knows his players who he wants them to play the penalty. Darwin Núñez, I'm not taking anything away from him for some games he has been doing well. But if he cannot score a tap in, what makes me think a very big tree like Donnarumma that he's going to score against Donnarumma with all the pressure? How many times have Curtis Jones played a penalty for Liverpool? I think I can remember only once.
Yeah.
I know penalty is anybody's game. I'm not trying to blame them for the penalty. But when you have played a Ganko football, when you are supposed to sit compact and wait for them and hit them on counter, do you see this game? They were better, but we would have taken this game. This game is a game that we would have taken at all costs, leading
Mm.
1-0 in Paris. Just come back, sit, delay, roll around the ground, sit back, soak that pressure. But every time it was counter. So what I want to say here is number one, we have had this experience, and this thing is supposed to teach Arne Slot, even Liverpool fans, a lesson. Me equally. Two, please, I don't want people to come and tell me Jota doesn't have anything to do in Liverpool again. Jota is done. Let us accept this fact that Jota is finished. Let's not just go, oh, Diogo Jota. Let's not live by memories. Jota is done.
Mm.
Jota should leave. For some time, Jota look uninterested, like his his game is not matching up with an average Liverpool striker. Allow him to go.
Mm.
Darwin Núñez, he has been causing chaos doing. Darwin Núñez is not a proper Liverpool striker. Darwin Núñez is not Luis Suarez. Darwin Núñez is not Fernando Torres. Even storage can score a lot of goals more than Darwin Núñez. Allow Darwin Núñez to go. Liverpool played 5 forward players today and could not score a goal. 5 forward players at home at
Mm.
Anfield and could not score a goal. So it should tell us that the hype we are giving to these players is not what it is. And it should tell us also that people writing Jurgen Klopp off and say, oh, Klopp is not tactical, that's why we do this one, that one. I think if I can remember, many games that have ended on penalties, Klopp made a better decision. I think he has lost either one or two out
Yeah.
of the 6 or 7, or 7 times he has taken us to penalty, and he won. You can't
Yeah.
bring that we need Curtis Jones. Klopp already knows the players that are playing penalty for him.
It's true.
So these are just my observations. So next
No,
season,
spot on.
Darwin's please, you have tried. Thank you, Darwin. Diogo Jota, you've won the Premier League with Liverpool. Thank you, Diogo. Please allow them to go.
Yeah. No, you
Konate
made
is
some
injured.
very
It's
valid
because of
points.
sprinting, too much sprinting, sprinting up and sprinting down and sprinting up and sprinting down. He got cramp.
Yeah.
The same thing that happened to Trent. Sprinting up and down, up and down, up and down. And the same thing happened to Trent. So you cannot be doing this. You cannot be, you have a football you've been playing. I'm talking about an exploit, a football you've been playing at the beginning of the season. Don't come and
Yeah.
start playing your game club football. That 4-3-3 is a high version of football. It's not every coach that can play that. You
Yeah,
talk
it's true.
about Pep, you talk about Klopp. These are what make them advance. 4-3-3, they attack you, punish you. You can't play this particular 4-3-3. Don't imitate PSG. PSG have technical midfielders.
Yeah.
Vitinha, Jao Neves, Fabio. These people can get you, dribble you, spray a pass, run, they are tireless. You can't use them to compare our midfielders. I'm not saying our midfielders are not good, but these midfielders are highly technical. You remember that Jao Neves was the same guy we wanted to go and buy then, and Benfica said it was almost 100 million. I don't know how PSG later bought that guy. I think around 70, 80 to
Yeah.
tell you
About
how
that.
much it's valued. So let's not just. The issue is that we need to look at this squad. It's a good squad, but we can't continue having. My problem is that Liverpool played five strikers. We are rated as the people that has one of the best strike force at home, and we could not score a goal. So this is just my observation.
No, it's very fair.
Kelleher himself, even during the penalty, I expected when the changes were going on, at some point introduce Kelleher. Alisson is the best goalkeeper in the world. But as far as I'm concerned, Kelleher is better in penalties.
Yes. Yeah,
Kelleher
that's
is
an
better in
interesting one as
penalties.
well.
On 2 or 3 occasions that we've gone to final with Kelleher, it was on penalties. He saved a lot. He did so
Mhm.
well.
True.
So to me, I think there are errors we did in this game. But if I call an average Liverpool fan within the start of the season and I say, if you win Premier League, will you be happy? They will take it. We never dreamt of winning the Premier League because we felt, oh, Jurgen Klopp is done. Let alone
Yeah.
Champions League, let alone Carabao Cup. So at the end of the day, we know that we are potential or champions elect of the Premier League. Let's just accept it and we move again next season.
No, you made some very valid points. I think with the team in general, let's be honest,
Mm.
we are overachieving as a team because none of us really expected us to win the title. I think we're in a position where let's just speak about the teams in the Premier League, like Man City, of course, the Rodri injury that impacted the whole campaign. Where they unfortunately for them they started playing terribly. They couldn't regain form. They couldn't win games in certain games. Then you had Arsenal, who have just been a mixed bag all season. So we've capitalized on other teams' downfall. So that's why we're at the top of the table. And thankfully, we'll win the Premier League when not many not many people expected us to win. Now, in terms of today, you made some very valid points. For me, it did feel like we were trying to go toe to toe against those PSG players. I don't think we were in a good sort of frame to go toe to toe with those sort of players. So for me, um, it was one of those things where maybe Arnott should have been a bit more calculated in terms of what he wanted to do. Um, but having said that, I feel like there's certain games where you have to start aggressively, which I think we did. So had Salah scored a goal or Van Dijk scored a header, then it might have been a different game altogether. But there were times in the game where I felt like maybe we need to manage the game a bit better. But of course, when you're trailing in the first half, you have to try and respond accordingly. And I feel like we did respond well in the second half. But I think the substitutions, I definitely have to agree with you. They have to be questionable. the reason why we've won penalty shootouts with Jurgen Klopp in the past is because he's kept on the best penalty takers in the team. So in today's game, we took away all of our best penalty takers. So the likes of Bozlai, who you mentioned earlier on, he's the captain of Hungary. He takes all of their penalties. Full Red Bull Leipzig did the same thing as well. Then you've got McAllister, who is a great set piece taker. We've seen him score penalties. If it wasn't for Mohamed Salah, McAllister would probably be our first choice penalty taker. That's how good he was for Brighton and for Argentina. Trent would definitely have taken a penalty. Even Diaz to an extent, and maybe even Jota. Although Jota for me was terrible, but in a dead ball situation, maybe you would have favor Jota because he's more clinical in front of goal. The likes of Darwin Núñez, I have to agree with you. He doesn't give me any confidence whatsoever. Jones, for me, you know, technically very good, but I just don't feel like he showed the conviction in that shot. And for me, he should have done a lot better in that moment there. So yeah, this game is definitely an eye opener. Um, Nostot is a young coach in the coaching world, so I hope that this game, he learns from the mistakes he made today. I feel like substitutions were questionable. I think the team selection to an extent as well, and not rotating the squad in the weekend fixture against Southampton for me ended up being very costly because the players looked tired. They didn't look like they could last any longer as the game went on. PSG looked stronger in the extra time. They were the ones that were trying to attack Liverpool in this game. So it's been, yeah, it's been one of those games where I feel like Luis Enrique got the upper hand. Of course, he's used his experience in the game to exploit Liverpool, where he knew Liverpool were going to try and have most of the possession, but then they played counter-attacking, kind of like what we did in the first leg as well. So, um, yeah, it's this one is a bit of a sore one in terms of accepting defeat. Um, but I feel like the game plan wasn't a bad one. It's just that I don't feel like we were clinical. If we had scored early on in the game, it would have been a different conversation. Salah, I'm not saying he should have buried it, but he should have scored, or maybe McAllister should have shot instead of crossing it because he was in a great goal scoring opportunity there. And then you had Van Dijk, who also had a header earlier on as well. Um, so, Salah had a chance where he didn't really add enough finesse in that shot. Otherwise, that would have gone in. So we had produced a number of chances. We just didn't look like we were going to score. And yeah, it's a crazy thing to say that we were at Anfield and we couldn't score a goal today, which is such a shame. But look, it's one of those things where we have to accept it. We have to take it on the chin. And look, I'm sure lessons will be learnt from today. Um, Now you spoke about the futures of Nunes and Jota. It's such a crazy one. It is something that needs to be discussed because Jota for me doesn't look like the Jota that we know, and Darwin Núñez for me is just not good enough to be a Liverpool striker. So the conclusion is you should, let both of those players go. Unfortunately, I don't think the club will do that. I think they'll keep one of those strikers. But of course, we'll speak about that. I've got some transfer shows lined up next week as we're approaching international break, so we can discuss that in more detail. But yeah, it's a crazy one to take. But thank you, back Liverpool, for your call. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your assessment of the game. Um, but yeah, that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you back Liverpool for your call. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Now in terms of upcoming content, no shows tomorrow. We will be doing a match preview. I haven't decided if I'm doing it on Thursday or Friday. I'm thinking I might wait until Friday so I have an update in terms of the injuries regarding Kanate and Trent, because I think Arne Slot will be doing a press conference on Friday morning. So I might be doing a match preview on the Friday. Uh, Best thing to do, hit that notification bell so you know what time I'm doing my live streams. And yeah, get involved in the live chat. Or if you watch on replay, feel free to get involved in the comments and I'll try and respond accordingly. And then, of course, we've got the cup final on Sunday. So hopefully, we'll do a watch along for that. Plus, match reaction. Hopefully, it's good news is more of a celebration than what it has been today. Today's been draining, to say the least. Um, and this one, yeah, this one hurts. If I'm being honest, I just felt like this was the time for us to really showcase as a team. We weren't blessed with the best tie, I guess. We've got probably the most informed team in Europe. But not making excuses. We'll give credit to the opposition. They did really well to beat us in this fixture. And look, they outsmarted us on the field and tactically as well. But it is what it is. And that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to speak with you all very, very soon. Goodbye.